So what's going on?
How's it going?
You were on time?
I was on time. Actually, I think I pulled up right when our guest pulled up as well. So we were here at the same time.
Okay, good. So we've been cruising along here this fall, and I think things are going pretty good. What do you think?
I'd agree.
So what do we got going today?
Well, we are continuing our Women in Parking series. So I'm so excited to have, as you said, parking legend in the house, Miss Nicole Wylie. Welcome.
Thanks,
I'm so
guys.
excited to have you here.
I don't know about legend, but that's very kind.
I gotta
all
go
the way
with-
from LA, right?
LA?
Yeah.
I got to go with legend because I don't think there's too many people that have been on the side of a building in Chicago. Like a full...
What? I don't know this. You were on the side of a building? Like,
She
Yeah.
was.
What?
Like the entire whole pic of her on the side of a building.
I'm going to need...
Large
I wanna see
scale.
this. I'm sure,
It was very
you have
large
photo
scale.
evidence.
Oh,
so
yes,
I'm
there's-
definitely going to need to see this.
There's definitely photo evidence. And
Yeah.
it's very, yes. And it was also about 5 blocks from my condo.
So you got to see it all the time.
I got to see it a lot.
Yeah.
And my
Oh, yeah.
friends would like love to embarrass me and stop me in the middle of the street and be like, is that you?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm sure there were people walking along that said, "Oh my gosh, who is that? That's the girl on the side of the building."
That never happened.
No autographs? All
No,
right.
zero
You should have
autographs.
just occasionally just stood under it or on the block.
And just pointed
To be
up.
like, that's me. That's me.
So Nicole is with Flash. You've been with Flash for a while.
Yeah, for 4 years.
4 years. Wow. And you're based in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And you transitioned 4 years ago from the pic on the side of the building, which was SpotHero, right?
Yes.
I mean, I have to say, Nicole was SpotHero. Like you were the
thank
face.
you.
Everyone knows Nicole as SpotHero, right?
I mean, you were one of the first people that I met when I came into the industry.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I came to visit Denver.
Yeah. So for as long as I've known you, since my very first days, like when I entered the industry, I don't think I know your story. I don't know how you got into parking. Like, were you always at SpotHero or were you somewhere before?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think everyone deserves to know how
thank
you
you.
got into the industry. How
Yeah.
did you?
Well, of course.
I mean, I went to school for it.
Yeah, of
just
course.
Like
You went to
everybody.
parking
I went to Parking
college.
University.
That's right.
I had aspirations as a little kid. That's like what I was dreaming about.
Which is
Went to park
located in
cars.
Parking University is located in downtown Fort Lauderdale, right on the biggest bar strip there is. That's where we all learn to drink.
yeah.
and
Okay.
park cars.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and park
They go
cars.
hand in hand.
Absolutely.
No, so I started in the technology world. I was at, this small company called Groupon. I'm from Chicago originally, and that's where Groupon's headquarters are. And I was there for pre and post IPO, and then got introduced to the founders at SpotHero.
So
and
Mark Lawrence.
Mark Lawrence, and yeah, and so I went in, and I mean, these were the very early days of SpotHero, so 20-ish people and lots of borrowed furniture, and
Yep.
it was very, but it was awesome and exciting, and I was like, well, it's parking, it can't be that hard. Like, yeah, I know, you just drive into a garage and
Right.
pull a ticket and go park, and then on the way
So
back
I have a
out.
question because
Yeah.
you lived in Chicago. You lived in
Born and
the
raised.
city.
Here we go. Danny loves cities.
I do.
She's going to want to move to Chicago after New York.
Well, I mean, I know New York won't ever.
Yeah, New York is my place. We all know that. Did you have a car?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
So-
but it got less mileage than any car ever should get.
Right.
It just basically sat in my garage.
You know why she had a car? Because she's an awesome water skier and she had to drive to the lake.
How does John know more about you than
Yeah.
I know
John
about
and I
you?
go way back.
She
He
had
was-
a
Wait,
lake getaway.
You
My parents,
water skied? What?
Yeah, I grew up. My mom's from Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
when we were growing up, we would go to different cottages that my parents rented, and finally they decided to buy one.
Yeah.
Which is about 2 hours from Chicago on a small lake called Lauderdale Lakes. And
Lauderdale Lake.
yeah.
We went to college in
So I've seen
Lauderdale Lake.
I've seen pictures of Nicole doing rooster tails.
What is that? Can you
A
explain
rooster
to me
tail
what that is?
like when you're slalom skiing on the water
Yeah.
and you're cutting the edge and the water goes whoosh, it's like a wall of water.
I think I'm gonna. Well, now I need to see these. I need to see the picture of you on the side of the building, and I need to see this video.
We'll get those. We'll get those for you.
Or maybe you can teach me.
Yeah.
Actually, do you still?
Yeah.
Do you still water
I
ski?
haven't watered. Well, no, because I'm not going to water ski in LA.
Yeah.
I'm too
Did
afraid
you
of
ever
sharks.
did you ever
What?
barefoot?
Like once off the boom.
Nice.
But my brother and my dad and our neighbors always went out, and that one barefooting is really hardcore in my opinion. I liked my slalom, and it was
That's
great.
hard to do. Get up on one ski. Did you go off the dock?
No, we didn't do because of how the lake was set up. So I was on a ski team, and for that you would go off the dock.
Okay.
But where my parents' cottage is a no wake zone. So you would have to like take the boat like, I don't know, 5 minutes out to the wake zone so you could, and then it's just a deep water start.
So there's two ways to go off the dock, Dani. There's one
I'm
where
learning
you
so much
where
today.
where your bottom is sitting on the dock and you're kind of there.
Yeah.
And then there's other crazy people that are actually stand up on the dock with one ski. It's
called a hop dock.
And then they just kind of lift themselves up as the boat comes and then they into the water. It's
Interesting.
nuts.
Yeah, that's a little bit hardcore.
Yeah, that is hardcore.
I'll,
I didn't do that for
me
sure.
neither, no.
But
I mean, I feel like that's got to be my first intro into water skiing. I just got to do that.
I used to go
Right
around
off
the
bat. Yeah.
I mean, go
Just
big or
gotta-
go home.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to
So-
go around the bay like twice. I mean, if I did it today, I'd probably.
It's a good workout.
Oh my-
Water skiing
it's-
uses muscles that like you can't work out in a gym. Like, and I played college basketball, and every summer I'd come home and water ski, much to my coach's chagrin. And I remember like being so sore the next morning, and I was like,
it's-
I'm a college athlete. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
What is happening here?
It's
Yeah.
incredibly hard.
Yeah.
So
I would love to learn. I've been like into water sports lately. When I was in Hawaii, I learned how to surf.
That's really cool. That's hard.
It was hard. Like I took like a half day lesson and then surfed the rest of the
you're
day.
like,
It was.
So
Rip it
Dani-
out.
I think I'm leaving. I'm going to leave parking to just pursue my
Become a
becoming
professional.
a professional surfer. So,
So Dani's got a new mic stand because I got
do.
yelled at for her face was covered up by the other one.
I mean, if there's going to be a face covered up, John,
it's got to be mine.
you do have a face for radio, though.
But I would rather cover my face up for sure.
I don't
Yeah.
mind not. I mean, I don't mind having my face covered, so it's fine.
So
But now, this is a whole new setup. Every time,
Very
and this
fancy.
is not a lie, every time I walk into the studio, which is quite often, there's something new in here. Like today, it's the mic stand. So thank you, John. It's very lovely.
I think
The
you're kind of a
sound-
gadget
The
guy,
lights.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sound plates are up.
The sound plates, the lights.
That was my brother suggested.
We didn't
that.
have the light. We didn't have that light before. So
No, we
okay,
didn't.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm being interrogated a little.
a little bit. It's very bright, right? Anyways,
Just wait. We're not even to the juicy stuff.
we're just getting started.
But there is one thing to mention since Dani brought it up, that Women in Parking series, as we wind this up for the year, but we have a new sponsor. We have a couple new sponsors.
We do.
But, Laney Solutions,
Nice.
Kathleen Laney, shout out to you. Thank you. Platinum sponsor.
SpotHero.
Well, that's you can say that.
Oh yeah, so SpotHero is now are one of our newest sponsors.
That's right. For 2025, Spot Heroes on board.
Nice.
Their old organization. So thank you to them as well. And of course, thank you, Laz Parking and Azura and PRS.
But mostly, thank you to Conway Parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, most important sponsor.
What is that?
Most important sponsor that we have. So thank you.
So
Okay, sorry, we got off track.
No, I'm
because-
okay with that. I love that.
yeah, we know
so-
that Nicole is a water skier for sure.
Yes. So SpotHero.
She played basketball where?
WashU in St. Louis.
Okay. St. Louis.
You had a car living in the city, so you could drive to your parents' cabin to specifically go water skiing, I guess.
Very much so.
Yes. So how long were you? So you went from Groupon to SpotHero.
I
How
was at
long were you?
SpotHero for 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So from there, I came in and it was just so new, less than 20 employees, and and I was like, okay, well, we'll try this out. I loved all the people that I met and the enthusiasm, and I was like, oh, parking's easy. And I remember my very first day being told, like, you're never going to look at a garage or a surface lot the same ever again. And I tell every person I hire who is coming into parking new that exact same thing. And every single person says, you are so right, because it's so true. Like, how many times did you walk by a garage, a surface lot, a valet, and just like keep walking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you stop and you're like, that's that equipment, look at the lighting.
We talk about it all the time because my wife absolutely hates when we're on vacation. So we were in Barcelona and I walked by this garage and literally it had a telephone, an old telephone as the intercom. And it had a little like shelf for it. So I had to take a picture of it and put it on social media. But
when we were in Italy last year, we were definitely taking pictures of garages, and it's so embarrassing.
I know. My wife is like, we're in Cabo. What the fuck are we doing at a parking garage?
Why are we looking at parking rates? Like, what is that? I'm like, do you understand these rates here? I'm like, this is wild. Like, people are like, I don't understand why we're looking at this right now while we're on vacation. I'm like,
we got to get your picture. I mean, where are all your pictures from garages all over the place?
If someone, I always say this, if somebody stole my phone or found my phone, they would think that I have a weird fetish around parking garages. That is all that is in my camera roll. They would be like, this is very strange. Like, I take pictures of any parking garage I go, like rate signs, or I'm like, that's a great sign. So I take pictures, like, that's all it is. I'm like, look at this striping. This is great. I just, like, it's pretty embarrassing.
So you came on to the scene with SpotHero. Mm-hmm. You came into at that time. How long have you been in parking?
It's 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. So 10 years ago, it was an even more male-dominated industry. So, I mean, and shout out to our industry, because it's really, with all the work that people are doing, the women in parking, it's becoming more and more prevalent to see professional women in the industry, which is great.
I love it. I am so happy. And I mean, I have so many great things to say about women parking as an organization, and could take an entire show doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's completely changed from when I started 10 years ago, which is still like a cup of coffee compared to so many industry veterans, like yourself. But, it's also one of the most welcoming and warm industries in spite of that. And I think it's also what's so important is we have so many male supporters too.
Right.
And I think that you need that in order to help continue to change the makeup of because the typical parking person used to just be an old white dude.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
It had to be more challenging 10 years ago. I mean, you probably have stories that would make people's jaws drop to the floor.
Yeah. People would probably lose jobs over some of the stories I have. Yes. No, it's changed in for so much the better. Because I mean, they always say that diversity of thought leads to growth and improvement and all of that. And I think we're starting to see that as an industry. I know when SpotHero started, people are like, people aren't going to go online and book a reservation. And John, you were one of the early adopters of SpotHero here in Denver.
Right. I'm a firm believer that technology, we were late to the game. I believe our industry, but right now we're I think since COVID and kind of before, it propelled.
Yeah.
And now we're like, regulation, government, they can't even keep up with the technology. They don't even know what to do with systems like ours.
Correct.
Right? So,
well, and I think asset owners more so than ever are actually seeing parking as an asset rather than as an amenity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think technology is whenever I've gone to any of these asset owner shows or had conversations, it's always like, oh, yeah, that place. But I was like, parking is the first and last experience somebody has at your building.
Where have I heard that before?
So I always say it. I always say it.
Dani does still think there's brand loyalty in parking. I haven't beaten that out of her, or not beaten, but
Hey,
I certainly wouldn't
we
beat
don't
you,
we don't
but-
we don't we don't promote violence here, by the
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
Yeah, no, we had this conversation all the time because I do think that there is brand loyalty in parking.
Wrong. I don't.
So I mean, we can, we need a marketing professional
But
on
your
to talk about
your
brand
opinion
loyalty.
matters.
Thanks, John. By the way, John has today he's in the studio with a pink Yeti
I am.
in support of women in parking.
That's
which
right. I
it's
knew.
so fun.
Little thought out.
Yeah, it was
Whatever.
very intentional. It's very intentional. But on the subject of women in parking, because Nicole, it's something that I honestly don't know a lot about because women in parking is you're on the board of women in parking, right? And so I would love for you to talk about.
Yeah, tell us about the board
about
and
it.
what your initiatives are and what your goals and how people can help.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and just women, like, I think any women, like anyone in the industry right now listening who's, who wants to join women in parking, like, how can we get involved? Like,
Yeah. Great questions. And like I said, I can talk about this all day. But yeah, so when I started at SpotHero, one of the things, because I was one of the first women on the sales side, they said, hey, go to this women in parking thing. And I just sat down in the back and was like welcomed with open arms. And, I saw that they had these mentor, mentee, and I was like, oh, I'll be a mentee. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And so I got paired up, and, that was my first foray into women in parking and how I got involved. And I was very blessed that Nicole Judge was my mentor. And if for those who might not know her, she's, a
Shout
bastion.
out to Nicole Judge. Yep.
And she's still a mentor to me today. But, she was on the board and involved. And
She's
then,
kind of like one of the founders of
yeah,
the
so
initiative, right?
Ruth Beeman started
Ruth
it.
Beeman, that's right.
Ruth
I'm
started
sorry.
it, but
Sorry,
with the
Ruth.
help,
Yeah.
Ruth gives everybody else all the credit because that's
Right.
the woman she is. But Ruth and Marcy Sparrow, and there was a group of them just over 10 years ago who got together and said, we need to do something about this. And, it was really Ruth's, with Ruth's financial support,
Right.
how Women in Parking started. And so then they, it was independent and they built out a board. And then a couple of years ago, NPA took it, it became a part of NPA, and it's now a benefit of being an NPA.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they joined, right? They joined forces.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just another benefit of if you're a part of NPA, you get the women in parking. You can add it on for
Right.
no additional fee, which is really great. So yeah, I got started in the mentor mentee program, and Nicole encouraged me, hey, I need somebody to take over my spot, so you should apply. And I got on the board that way, and I was part of our. The team, because we had all these sponsors, but they had to be managed and they had to manage their lists. And so I worked with that, and, new members, always trying to get new membership.
Right.
And then I got the opportunity to be the chair and was asked to do that. And that was a huge honor. And then it was in the middle of COVID, unfortunately.
Wow.
But I'm still, the immediate past chair-elect, and Nicole Hankins is now the current chair.
Yeah. So we had a gal here that was kind of younger coming into the industry, and I only know certain stories. I made the mistake, I would call it, at one point of bringing my daughter to one of the shows and her friend. And that's when I started to
Why
holy
would you-
shit.
Why would you do
What
that?
is going on? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd hear
Yeah.
the stories, and then it was like, wow, okay. So there's definitely that program. Kendall was mentored by Nicole Hankins a little bit. And that was part of the process. Like, here's how you handle this. And, so everybody had their challenges. Hopefully, I think it's getting better. But certainly when I brought Savannah years ago, it was pretty eye-opening.
I'm shocked that you, you having been in the industry for for so
Savannah,
long.
I'm sorry for taking you to the parking show.
And she's not in parking today.
Yeah.
That's so
No,
weird.
She was like, yeah, so weird. So weird how that,
Ran
yeah. She's like, I think I'm going to stay away.
Oh my gosh. So
Shows are so fun though. They're like, now they're, well, now
to me,
they're
it's
my
like going
favorite.
to it's like going to summer camp.
Yeah. It's like a reunion. Like I
But
can't
with
wait.
alcohol and
yeah.
Like
Even
I,
that's tamed down though. Some of the parties. Have
I
gotten-
agree.
Yeah. So
I definitely agree.
I always say, I'm like, it's conference season, and people are like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh, I'm so excited because like you hit, it's like IPMI, MPA. We have venues now, which if anybody out there, if you don't go to venues now, you should absolutely go.
yeah. So show season is when you get on your liver rejuvenation. What is it? Thistle and dandelion thistle and something makes your liver.
We need to get them to sponsor.
That's right.
Probably true. Probably
I should have brought them. I could have advertised for them. So
Yeah.
So women in parking. So to get involved,
So,
because it's
yeah.
part of it's like now part of MPA,
Correct.
the organization.
So if you're a member of NPA, you immediately get the women in parking benefit.
Yep.
So you can go on and basically you just like check a box.
What if
it's
you're
like very
not a
So
member
I
of
would
MPA?
like to say, I would just like to say, like anything that you join, so just being a member and then going to a show and going to the women parking event is probably not going to get the most out of it. So you only get what you put into it. So
100%. And that's why I really like the mentor program, because I think that's a way that you can probably maximize the benefit of women in parking, because you'll be matched with a mentor. As a mentee, you'll be matched with a mentor. And then you have access to this person that is in the industry. And we try not to, set up competitors or, but and if that happens and you're uncomfortable, we can always switch things around too. The flexibility is there. But you get somebody who's in the industry, who's probably been in your shoes at some point, and who, you can go to as a reference outside of your own company.
Right.
And then it also just helps you get to know other people in the industry, so that when you're going to one of these conferences for maybe the first time, you know at least one person outside of your company. And what I will say, and what Nicole Judge and a lot of other women, they're so good about bringing people around and introducing. If you're open to meeting people, I will say, I think Women in Parking is a really great place to get to know a lot of people, and the faces become friendly very quickly.
Right.
What does the mentorship program look like? Like, is that what type of commitment is
Once a month. So the applications are actually, they were just released. The mentee applications actually just went live on Monday.
Okay.
The mentor application started about a month before this. But if you're interested, we can get anybody set up with that.
We'll shout that out on social, because how long does it stay open?
I think it's staying open till the end of the year, because then we want to start that cohort right in the new year.
So we'll make a social media post, because this will probably broadcast towards the end of the year.
Okay.
So is it womeninparking.com, or where can people find
NPA.
this?
It's NPA, and then
Okay.
there is a Women in Parking link there. Yeah. I'll get you guys the link.
So when you're mentoring, because obviously you've mentored somebody, what are the like, if you had to name like the top 3 bullet points of what you're mentoring, what are the top 3 challenges that women face that you might help through that mentorship?
I think, one of the big challenges, and I don't think it is just specific to women, but is navigating what's next and where is the next opportunity. Because not all companies are really great about creating career paths and trajectories. Right. And, something that I was very fortunate early in my career was being taught how important it is to make sure that like having career conversations is a part of growth. And hey, if somebody stays within the organization and grows, fantastic. But if they move on, that's okay too.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure no company ever wants to hear that, but I think it's really important. Our industry is so incestuous in so many ways. And I don't mean that derogatory. I mean, like, people have been, how many people here in the hallways have I known from their past lives or worked with?
Yeah.
So, I think that if you can keep a good reputation, there's a lot of opportunity, if not within your company, within the organization of parking.
Right.
Well, and I think I think that that's such a great point that you bring up, because even when, like, historically, it wasn't common, or it was kind of frowned upon for operators to talk to operators, or like, that's how, I mean, that's how it was when I was in operations, right? And I'm like, but I'm friends with everybody. I love to talk to people. I want to like bounce ideas off of other people, and it was just kind of frowned upon then. And so it's like getting to know people in your industry outside of your company, I think, is so important. But that's how relationships are built.
I also think it's easier, if a woman has a woman mentor that's been through and had the path, like you just said, it's probably easier to talk to somebody outside the company, and you probably feel more comfortable with another woman that has already gone way farther than you have in an industry. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
I mean, I think that, supporting others is such an important part of being a leader in any organization within any company.
I agree. Yeah.
I think all companies right now, companies evolve too. And so their leadership change, they evolve, and so their culture changes. But honestly, we're in a time period where people will have 7 careers, or 7 different
which
jobs.
For parking is very unusual.
Yeah.
How many people have you met that have been at the same company for 20, 30 years? But that's totally being changed.
That's right.
It's on its head right now.
Especially with the younger generation. They're not going to be with the same company 30 years. No way. That's just, I'm sure it could happen and would happen, but it will be the exception.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I think that there's just so much more opportunity in our industry now than there was.
Why do you think
10,
that is?
15 years ago, right?
Why do you think that is?
Because the technology game in parking is changing, and it's changing quickly. It's growing so fast. And so I think that, like, there are new companies coming, there are new technologies, there are new solutions being, presented every single, day. Like Kevin, how he started the, what is it called? The parking
Today?
No, yeah, but the Accelerate.
Oh, Accelerate, yeah.
Right? Where he's like very much encouraging young entrepreneurs to bring their ideas to the table. Like, that wasn't the case 15 years ago in parking. Right. So now with everything, the way that the parking industry is changing, technology, like new technologies are being presented on a daily basis. And so it's easier for these opportunities to be presented to parking professionals to help grow these younger companies.
Right. So we've gotten one bullet point. What's another?
I was thinking about that. Also navigating raise conversations. That one's really hard. Yep. And a lot of people struggle with it because talking about money is uncomfortable.
Right.
And I don't think, again, I don't think any of these themes are women specific, but these are just mentor specific questions I've had. And that one is always a challenge, because how do you bring that up? And to me, what I've always told anybody is put together a brag book. Here are all the things. So as you have different accomplishments, put them together, track them. Because you're not going to remember what you did 6 months ago unless you're, have a great, I won't remember. But
you're right. No, I will not. But you're right.
Okay. So,
and then the conversations of navigating a male dominated environment do come up, and how do you do that, and how do you do it with grace? And, if you have somebody who is being inappropriate, or if you're not comfortable, how do you handle that when they may be a colleague or a customer?
Right.
Because that can get really hairy for some people.
It can get really uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think back to the other bullet point, do you think there's because we hear this a lot, it's, women, the gap of wage between women and men, is that prevalent in our industry?
I would guess it is. I wouldn't be surprised if, I wouldn't, I don't have any data to back that up, but I wouldn't be surprised if, my opinion is.
You would know.
I mean,
I mean, you run a company.
I do. I don't see that here, but
right.
I mean, it does boil down to.
But even at your previous companies,
who's most qualified, who does the job, what job you're doing. Certainly, there's opportunities here as we have people down the hall that are pretty highly compensated.
But even at the previous companies before you started your own, did you see that gap quite a bit between?
In my career, I've seen the gap for sure.
Yeah.
And
so you take a SVP and you compare the two salaries. I'm back in the day. There's quite a big difference.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And it's unfortunate. And I mean, if anybody has ever read the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, she talks about how, if there's a job, a woman's going to be 110% qualified for it and then go for it, whereas a guy will be 60%.
60%.
It was, and hers was actual data and.
Right.
And I do believe that just from my career, seeing who's going after what. And, I feel that I've always tried to be very fair and just hire the right person,
right,
regardless of anything else. And I've come up against challenges with that before of I love hiring people from outside the industry. I think it's actually bringing in fresh blood is really important. And if anybody wants to get into parking, we should welcome them with open arms.
We need them, yes. Yeah.
I personally struggle with that because, at least in the point of my career, it's when you take somebody outside of parking, it's a lot of work.
There's a learning curve
to bring them up to speed.
Well,
and if you're a kind of a smaller, growing regional company, and you don't have a lot of the training, documented and things, it's a real challenge.
Well, and it depends on what part of the industry that you're bringing them into, right?
Yes.
If you're bringing them to the tech side of things, a little bit easier because people can grasp that very quickly. If you're bringing them into operations from outside of the industry, that is very difficult because it's such a gritty industry, right?
That's a really
brought in my career. I think I brought in most of the people that I brought into the industry were not in parking. My brother specifically were not, and now they've been in parking for quite a while.
Now they're parking pros.
And one of the managers I hired when I was at Interstate, she was not in parking. She still works for them. She's in operations, which to bring a woman from outside of the industry into the industry in operations is so tough.
I would agree with that. Yes. And I think that that's a really good point is within the technology space, because my entire team at SpotHero is from outside the industry, except for one person.
Right.
And, and there is a learning curve, but I think you can also teach some good habits. But I can tell you going from SpotHero to Flash, I was like, I know, I've been in parking now for 6 years. I know, a good amount. Equipment can't be that
can't be that hard.
Can't be that hard.
Right.
Famous last word.
Yeah. I was going to say,
before you said it, I was going to add the challenge that we have here is we're technology and there's a service side.
Yeah.
So you really need a kind of a hybrid in the account management space. And it can be challenging if you don't understand parking.
Well, and exactly. I was going to say, but you have to have some concept of parking to do what your team does here, right? Because it would be very hard. You're right. It would be hard to bring in someone outside who doesn't know anything about parking to be like, okay, go sell our technology. They're not, if they don't have a grasp of parking in general, almost pointless, right?
Right. Well, it's not pointless. We're going through a couple experiments right now where someone in technology, SaaS, because that's really where we've headed the last many years. So it's a work in progress for sure, but it's definitely a
training
challenge.
behind it. Go visit as many parking garages as you can.
I mean, it's more work for me. I'd rather hire somebody from the industry. But with that being said, it's almost easier. It might be easier for somebody like me to teach the operational side than because that's my background than the tech side. Although I'm kind of a gadgety person.
You've always been, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that hard, but I think it's, you could argue it both ways. For
You're
sure.
a gadgety person. I mean, what?
Just look at the room.
I know, exactly. This is all John, by the way. Like I have
no offense, Dani. I could tell.
I'm like, I just show up and there's something new here every time. It's so fun.
So, okay. So the women in parking, now you're at Flash. So tell us what that's been Flash has gone through, they went through the super growth, buying companies, and then like everybody in our industry, COVID, and geez, what a challenge. And shout out to all the companies what a struggle it was to get through. But so tell us about what's going on, because they've seemed to settle down and seem to be in a groove, and they got the Denver airport. I mean,
know,
what
that
an
was
accomplishment.
Huge.
Shout out to Flash.
I know. I love when I fly into DIA, and I actually ran into our technician when I was here the last time, and I was like, hi, I work for Flash too.
Thank you for calling it DIA, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh my
Sorry.
God. It's Den.
We've had this argument on the air before too. So.
Well, you can tell somebody who's from Colorado because it's
And I'm not,
it's
but
DIA.
I did the off airports.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know more airport codes than kind of the average Joe.
Yeah.
And but I mean, Flash, it's, during kind of that COVID time, it was 11 companies in 18 months acquired.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dani, was up in the thick of it as well. And I mean, it was crazy to bring. I mean, when I was at SpotHero and we acquired, and it'll always be we acquired Parking Panda,
Right.
just to bring those two companies was a lot. So times that by 10, and you have what we are doing did at Flash, and it was crazy.
So when we merged, when I was at SB Plus and we merged with Central Parking, I mean, that was two big parking companies. What a challenge for the systems. Like, we were working out of two systems for a while and then rolling by city to city. And then you look at Flash and how many companies they acquired so quick. I just going through my little experience, and we only, it was challenging enough. I could see the challenges, and I wasn't responsible for making those types of decisions. What technology you're going to stick with, accounting, all that platform, all those platforms.
And there were no layoffs.
Yeah,
that was part of the commitment. Is everybody was still going to stay employed. So there were redundancies, but you know what? I will give our leadership a lot of credit, because that kind of growth and all those acquisitions in such a short time was tremendous. It was really exciting to be a part of, and now to be a part of this entire platform play, I think is really cool, because it is every piece of the industry. So it's you go to these conferences and you're like, holy cow, everybody, we love to work with everybody, but a lot of people see us also as the competition, which in certain cases it is the case.
Because you guys were touching every space. But what a challenge to kind of take an organization and migrate everything into a cohesive, and I mean, it had to be. And honestly, what an experience for the employees that were there, that are still there, that went through that. I mean, if they don't stay with Flash and they go on, what an experience you have. I mean, that's
correct.
That's a lot of knowledge and wealth that an employee could bring to the table for other companies that are going through that same thing.
100%. Because I don't know if any, I mean, I shouldn't speak, but I don't know if any company will ever go through something that grand and that scale.
Right. But I can speak for this is a shout out to Flash again, but I travel a lot. I go a lot. And so my parking experience has improved. I mean, and I'll just say the one is, when I used to pull up, it was there was this incredible delay of being able to that license plate reader actually, and then the ticket would come out, and then at the exit the tap never worked. The transaction.
There were always lanes down at the exit. There were always lanes down.
I've been through several of those. So they had ACS for a while, but ACS had a huge infrastructure that was fix and repair minute by minute, right?
Well, and that's a
So-
lot of the legacy parks providers is that, like, you need a PhD to work on our equipment because we want to make it difficult.
Right.
And the Flash and Park Connect approach has been USB plug and play, and let's make this as simplistic as possible that that most people could
Right.
Do it themselves.
Do it themselves.
Yep.
But
Yeah. So
yeah.
just from my little experiences, the exit is so much better.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, the tap actually works, and the transaction speed is improved,
Great.
which is what you need, right? So
And they're so pretty too. Those
Yeah.
purple.
They look real
kiosks.
good. And it was a quick flip.
goes along with my pink cup, and see, those are the details. You guys get all the details. Yeah.
All
No,
of the
they are.
dates.
It is pretty stuff. So,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, shout out. I mean, and again, it seems like things have settled down. There was a
Yeah.
period there where they were.
There was just a lot of movement and a lot of
Yeah.
moving parts, and a lot of companies trying to figure out which way was up, and and then also when you're reaching out to the customers, and well, we're all under the Flash umbrella, but I'm selling you this product, I'm selling you this product.
And now
Right.
it's just kind of one like
Yeah.
obviously different like teams, different verticals, but before it was still like when I was there, it was still definitely divided.
Yes, and the goal is really that more unification and
Yes.
that selling together, that partner selling.
So there's so many people that you impacted in your SpotHero experience. I mean, like there wouldn't be anybody that you would go to and you'd say Nicole Wylie, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, she was." I was with her last week. So for those people that that you used to see a lot more. I mean, I don't know what you're doing now, but I think at least my perception, you seem to be more geographic, right? Or are you?
So Flash has has pivoted and has regionalized. So we have branches, so that we can get closer to our customers. On the customer success side that I'm on, we've been focusing on our partners at the national level. So I'm
Okay.
not as regionalized as the rest of my colleagues, but because I work with a lot of different leaders across the different branches. But at the end of the day, it's our customers are front and center, and that's the most important.
Right.
And all the feedback and what I've just seen and experienced personally is that move has changed the customer experience for the better. And we're able
Right.
to, get things repaired quicker, get to issues faster. And, at the end of the day, that's the name of the game, is how quickly can you make sure that my gate's going up and down and I'm transacting.
So are you dealing more with partners than customers, or both?
No, I deal with our customers.
Okay.
So I deal with them at kind of the more national level.
Okay. So a higher level relationship. That
Correct.
makes sense.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like you need the bottom up and top down approach in this industry, because there's no one right way to do it, because the day to day is going to be the people on the ground. But
Right.
those decisions at the top also impact them. So making sure that you're kind of like.
So are
connecting
you,
the two.
how many roles are in your role, and is it split up? Like do you have like a certain amount of higher level relationships and then somebody else?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So the customer success team is kind of merged also with our enterprise team.
Okay.
And so we are, kind of small but mighty. There's 6 of us.
Okay.
And then everybody has kind of their book of business. And again, it's to work in lockstep with the rest of our team members as well as our customers,
Right.
to make sure that there's education on all the new technology that is being rolled out. Like what seems like every time I turn around, we've got different.
Something is.
So what does a month look like for you?
Oh my God, never the same. That's
Never
why I
the
love
same?
it.
Yeah.
That's why you love it. That's
I
why.
do.
That's what I love about
no
parking.
no day is the same.
My
Every
days
day
are
is
never
different.
the same.
No.
I come in with a to-do list, and half of it doesn't get done because I'm sidetracked somewhere else. So.
Exactly.
But that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Also challenging.
Every day is
I
different.
agree. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's just making sure that our customers are getting taken care of. So triaging, something that was shown to me I don't know if you guys have ever seen it's a cross section, and one line, the y-axis is important, and the other is urgent. And so it breaks up into 4 quadrants. So is it urgent and important, or is it urgent and not important? Because typically we go urgent, important to urgent, not important. But you should go urgent, important to urgent, or to important, not urgent.
Right.
That should be 2, and then
That's
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
yeah. So just from a prioritization standpoint,
Right.
because the house is on fire a lot, and you have to make sure to kind of sift through the noise.
We know
Yeah.
all about that, don't we, Dani?
Yes.
I think everybody who's
I think our house
Yes, we do,
burns
John.
daily, and it's like, oh my God, there's flames over there.
Like, what part do I need to put out first? What part can burn?
That's right.
What part do I need to put out first?
Well, there's no hot. Those are just
Yeah.
hot coals.
Yeah. We can
that
leave
one's a
this.
little fire retardant, so we're good.
Oh man, but that's what makes it fun, right?
Exactly. So so no day is the same, so to speak, but making sure that there are touch points with our various partners, that's the most important, is just making sure that we're staying close and keeping our customers apprised of everything, as well as engaged and and
Right.
and happy.
So what's? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So, is there something? There hasn't been a lot of big flash news lately outside of the partnership between.
God, you stole where I was gonna go.
John, we're just on the same wavelength
I
here.
know.
It's,
I know. Pretty
besides
scary.
I know the Flash and Park Mobile partnership. Outside of that, is there anything? I mean, I would love to talk a little bit more about that. I don't, I've obviously we kind of talked about it on our QBR recently. But is there anything else exciting?
Wait, what is a
coming to-
QBR? I'm sorry.
A quarterly business review. So part of the customer success. So customer success was an idea taken from the software industry. So Salesforce is really who put it on the map. They call them customers for life.
Right.
And so, that was really important to our CEO that we institute something similar, because he had something similar at his previous company that he
Right.
sold. So that's why it spun up, was the importance of being close to our customers and making sure, because when you've got relationships, you can ask for forgiveness a lot easier. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Very
And
true.
for me,
Some people forgive.
Some people.
Yeah.
So we had our QBR with them recently.
Yeah.
Because we want to know, it's important. We want to know where we're at, how we're doing. Like, Joe looks at metrics every single day.
Of course he does.
Yeah, every single day.
I'm surprised.
But as a team, as
His
a whole,
wife
it's
works
important.
for me.
I
and
know, Dani.
Talk about metrics and reports, and that woman can report.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Needed for your team.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so it's a very important part of our relationships with our vendors.
So I have to say, I've been to a lot of Flash events at the shows. I think this year was so well done. It was
Kudos.
I was there, and it was impressive. And it was finally, it went from a fraternity party to a to like a real
Like a professional,
yeah.
It-
Not that
I
the
didn't
fraternity
make it,
party
sorry.
wasn't bad in Austin.
We've had a lot of fun
with robots and things, but
Yes.
it was very well done. I have to give a shout out to whoever
agree.
put that on.
Yeah,
It was
we
good.
had a team of people, but we had Duran kind of leading the charge, and she is just like the ultimate party planner.
She really
And
is. She's
Kudos
In
to
addition to the
Duran.
fact- yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
Duran,
Oh,
but
you'd love her. She's
Yeah.
great.
okay,
And she threw
Duran, send
the
me
really
an email
big
later.
she threw the really big parties, and
Yes.
she's done all the Flash parties since I was at Flash. So she did,
Yeah,
she's pretty
so
incredible.
it was good.
In addition to her daily job, by
Yeah.
the way, which is like
right.
she's making sure that our sales team stays.
It was just well
Yeah.
done all the way
and it
around.
looked-
I like
it
the
looked
fact
so
that it
professional.
wasn't. I mean, you guys definitely pared it down.
Mm-hmm.
It was you you could see there was a conscious effort of making sure who was there. You know, I mean, obviously,
it was deliberate.
You're
yeah.
spending a lot of money, and you want an ROI of some kind,
Correct.
right? Not just
an open invitation.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
as it was before.
That's how you would want to see it. You know, so and then the way the presentation was and the camera, the bionic camera.
The bionic camera.
I don't know. You guys have a new camera that you introduced.
Oh, you mean you're talking about our LPR camera?
Yeah.
I thought,
okay.
John, I thought we were still on the party
I
thing.
did too. That's why I was like,
this was part of this.
this is
No, that was
the
part of
way-
the party.
Party announcement.
The way I was gonna say the way that John's brain works is like there's a million thoughts going on.
Squirrel.
And and you just never know how he's piecing things together.
Right.
So
Yep.
Unfortunately, I've known him now for almost 10
know.
years, so
why I'm like-
I'm able to follow most of it.
Yeah, it was again. It was.
I was like, I
The
missed
flash
it.
vision cameras are phenomenal. Like they are, you know,
And these
it's the
are
first,
new, right?
They're brand new, and we announced them at NPA. Why we're so excited? It's the first camera that was developed by a parks company.
Yep.
For parks specifically. So it's got like 10 different components in one camera, which is so different than, kind of taking the security cameras and
Right.
and repurposing them. So, and using the AI technology. And so just like what it can do is really exciting. I mean, this is, where you start kind of nerding out.
Right.
Yeah.
And my
That's
friends start
right.
making fun of me and they're like, okay, we're talking about parking.
That's
talking
right.
about cameras and parking and
But then when you experience
You know,
it,
when
it's
you're
really
talking about all that
exciting.
nerding out, Harlan Karp's probably in there somewhere.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Harlan's at the
Full on
forefront of
nerding
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's how Park Connect started was that nobody else wanted to be able to allow for online reservations. And I remember reading some reviews from customers who were like, why can't I scan into this location like I could at the other?
Right.
And the first time I read that review, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
customers are realizing it. That
Right.
was really exciting.
I loved Harlan's stuff, Park Connect back in the day. Matter of fact, the person that's sitting, I think, 2 doors down told me, no, we're not using our Click and Park scan with the Park Connect. I'm like, well, how the hell is anybody gonna in a garage? So of course, in my cowboy fashion, we went and installed those Park Connect readers, and then somebody down the hall embraced that, and it became a thing. So, but they were
You started making a lot of money quickly.
yeah,
at
those
your
were
garages
those were
here.
great. It was Ryder
Oh, yeah.
Square was one of the
Oh,
first.
I remember it. Yeah.
Did some cheesy videos with John Skinner. Do you remember him?
Of course, I remember
I came
John.
across that video the other day.
Oh, you'll have to send
so
it
we
to
did
me.
like a
Videos of
start.
what?
So this
Let's
was
clarify.
when
What are we talking about
Click and
here?
Park was a reservation platform.
Well, yeah, I
and-
know that.
Yeah, so so we were rolling it out at garages, and we were trying to get people to reserve and do all this stuff in advance. So
Because back in the day, when you did reservations, I mean, we're talking very early on,
Yeah.
SpotHero and ParkWiz, you used to have to print out your reservation and display it in your
that's
dashboard. And then
right.
at the end, you would have to push the call button, hope to God somebody answered, and you could read off your reservation
number.
ID.
Yep.
Yeah, so we created this video. Skinner was pretending in my office, and it was like, I've got a meeting. It's over at Ryder Square. I'm gonna get my parking in advance, and I'm gonna get questions. So he gets online. Look how easy it is. Now, meanwhile, we're filming.
Yeah.
And then he prints out his pass, and he's like, I'm gonna take this with me. And then we showed him pulling up to the garage and scanning in and then scanning out on the Park Connect reader. Now, meanwhile, Harlan at the time could save if you were using his platform or some platform, you could create it to your Apple Wallet at the time, and you could use your phone.
Yeah.
But Click and Park wasn't able to do that, so we had the and I kept telling
Print it out.
I kept telling Mike Drow, when are we going to be able to? I'm like, Harlan, why can't we do that? Well, that's Click and Park, So-
Please implement this online reservation system, but you also need a printer.
Yeah, you need a printer.
Just FYI.
I mean,
Thank
thinking
God
back
10 years ago, they were still a thing.
I know. know. I mean, thinking back on it and looking at, I looked at that video the other day, just laughing, going,
I think that we
oh my
need to.
God, we're printing.
That's so great. Yeah.
We need to see this video. I think we need to post it.
I think we should.
Yes.
It's
Maybe
pretty
it'll pull Skinner back into the game.
I think he's in security or something. Yeah. Come on, Skinner, come back. We got a spot for you.
He's like, no, not going back to parking. No, thank you.
I think he had a good time. We had
we had a great time.
He worked for Joe at the time. Joe's a great boss. So
You know that.
It was like my Joe, yeah.
My Joe?
My Joe, yeah. He's
Joe's
a great
like
boss.
the guy that, grabs your hand. He shows you. He's got the great program. And then there's me.
grabs your hand.
He does.
And then there's me. I need the drive-bys. So it's like I'll slow down to 30 miles an hour. Here's the book.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
No, Joe.
Right?
Joe
And then
is a
as
great
long
boss,
as you're at the
yeah.
Walnut Room, you can find Hoffman.
That's right. Yep. And if you have any questions, go to the Walnut Room. Greg's going to love that.
Shout out, Greg.
Yeah. I think it was like a year ago. Somebody's like, I haven't seen Greg Hoffman in a while. We were driving around downtown, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Let's just stop at the Walnut Room.
We went to the Walnut Room,
And he was there?
he was. Yeah, it was classic.
I
They're
love
like, wow,
Greg.
you know
Yeah.
everything. I'm like, no,
No, this is not hard.
I've just been around Greg a long time. So anyway, so what's new and exciting coming for Flash?
Well, so we just celebrated our billionth transaction.
Wow.
It's
Oh my
billionth
God.
with a B.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huge.
Congrats.
I mean, that's all, everybody.
Yeah.
That's a big
very,
deal.
very big deal. So really excited about that. And, and then we've got the cameras that rolled out and are
Right.
starting to be installed. So we're installing a couple around here in Denver. Which we're really excited about, and the feedback we're getting is great. That that the ability to read longer distances or shorter distances, and different types of light, because lighting changes so much, as we all know.
Right.
In garages and surface lots.
Right.
So that, and then the flex at Flash Flex, and being able to go from gates down to gates up and have hybrid mode, and being able to have that flexibility,
Which I think is such a power move in the industry right now, right? Because you're not seeing, there's not a lot of that type of flexibility from a lot of different technologies. And I think
Flexi
it's
sexy.
New saying.
All
saying.
right.
I'm just saying.
Wrong episode to do that.
Where's the button?
Yeah,
There is a couple buttons. I don't know. Oh. All right.
There you go. But I think from like an industry standpoint, especially for like a mixed use, which we're seeing a lot more now, because people aren't just building parking garages anymore. It's all mixed use space, right?
Yep.
And I think a flex system is so important.
So what does that mean, flex?
So being able to go literally from gates down, that experience that you see, to
Gates
fully
up?
gates up, to gate down on entrance and a free out,
That's
But not
pretty
a
cool.
free out, but like
not a free out,
Yeah,
but
like
sorry, just a
yeah.
gates up, because you've already.
Yeah, you're not getting out for free, but you're not sitting waiting in a lane.
Look, I just
pay.
didn't want to confuse people with
No,
a free
I-
out.
That's good. Yeah. Parking is not free.
Yeah, it's
Pay.
not free.
Yeah, pay. Some people don't want to pay.
I know.
And then if they don't pay, they want to dictate what the charge is. So that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's a very unique, and like I said, I have not seen anybody you guys are one of the first to implement.
I want to
a flex
see. I want
program.
to see a rate. Park now and pay later.
Well, you can-
So instead of issuing a notice for a violation, it's just that rate is posted. So if you normally got a notice for $92, it's not a notice anymore. It's just, oh, you chose to park and pay later. Here's your notice to pay later.
How much later though? Like, what does that
I
mean?
mean, that's like our system, right? So if you go on a surface lot and you don't pay, you get a notice in
Right.
the mail, and it's
Yeah.
it's quote unquote a ticket, but in the private, it's a notice. That's just take all that out and just call it a
Park now, pay later. I feel
Yeah.
like that flex
So here-
with like on a monthly revenue basis though. Like, because what if someone parked in November,
Or
paid in
daily.
December?
Like, think
Yeah,
about
but-
like
well, you would give them
you're
some.
familiar with that with DIA.
Yeah, you would give them some time. I mean, you would have. I mean, nobody's going to want to pay $92. They're going to want to pay the regular rate,
Right.
So you're incentivizing people
like
to pay.
pay by
You're still doing
this
a
date.
violation program, an enforcement program. It's just worded differently.
Park now, pay later.
Yeah,
I think there's something there, but I don't know. We gotta.
it has to
Figure
do
that
with
out.
regulation and for some reason enforcement, and it's on everybody's
within 24
radar.
hours.
And so, nobody's enforcing. It's just they chose to pay later. Here's your bill. Right?
Well, no,
Or-
but because I think most people, like, they just don't want to pay. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, it's just terminology. They still don't want to pay.
That's the thing,
and they're
though,
still
like-
going to get a letter. It's just you chose this rate, and you're paying triple what it would have been, right? So
Yeah.
But
it's
then,
it's all just a thought process around regulation and issuing tickets because nobody likes to get a ticket, right?
well, nobody likes to get a ticket
So
now.
we're
But
not
if I parked
nobody's
somewhere and it was
issuing
like
a
park
ticket.
now and pay later, I would probably never pay.
No, I'd
Yeah.
be like, well, let's
That's an
see. Let's
interesting-
roll the dice.
an interesting point.
Roll the dice.
I think there's some
exactly.
people that are never they'll want to pay anyways and aren't gonna comply.
I mean,
And
the
then there's
only
there-
parking
there-
tickets that I pay are the city of Denver, which I get an astronomical amount of
So we'll
parking
make
tickets.
sure you're on the boot
so
list.
I know.
I know.
For all the people you know here.
I know.
I know. We're gonna make sure she's on the boot list.
So I've gotten
Called Benny.
my registration. Yeah, my registration.
I'm gonna
expired.
look your name up actually.
Oh, I'm sure I
our
got
system.
plenty. Oh,
We're gonna see how many notices you have.
within you, I think I actually get your attorney letters, which I should probably bring in. But
Yeah.
I felt
It
so.
costs money to
I
send
felt,
those out.
well, I'm costing you. I know.
Danny's got a stack.
I do. I'm like, I need to take these with me. No, I felt so. I adulted really well the other day. I don't normally adult really well, but I did because I renewed my registration, which expired
Wow.
in July.
Ooh, so there's a penalty with that.
Paid
You paid later.
two-
You paid a penalty.
2 parking tickets that I got at
'Cause you had
at
to in order
DIA
to
because
renew.
my plates were expired. So I got 2 parking tickets at DIA because I parked there for like 12 days at a time. And then I got
God.
I
Do you
actually
park
got
in
pulled
the garage?
I got pulled over the other day going to the
Do you park
airport.
in the garage at
course she
12
does.
days?
No, I park in the economy lot.
Okay, that's a good answer.
If I are you kidding? If I
Joe is listening
Joe
to
would-
this.
Joe would kill me if I parked in the garage for 12 days. He'd be
She
like,
valeted her car.
big valet person, by the way. I love to support
I
my
hate
valet.
ballet,
agents.
but
Why? If I can valet, I valet all the time. Like it is so convenient.
I don't like valet because I used to.
Be a
Does he
valet.
use the
Used to be
valet?
one.
I used to administer and manage those operations, so I know what goes on behind the scenes. So that's number one, and number two, it just depends on where you're at. It always seems like you're just waiting forever, and I don't.
Well, unless
I
you
can't
use certain
sit still.
technology.
In case you guys didn't know that, I have to always be doing something and moving. And
John, you sit
But
still
if you
here
use,
very well.
if you use Flash Valet,
Yeah.
you can call your car
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah.
Ooh,
All right.
there are certain, so in Hawaii, when I was in Hawaii, when we stayed and we were in like Waikiki Beach, the hotel did not allow you to call ahead. And it was like the worst valet operation ever because it took like half an hour for you to get your car.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah.
bad.
And so
That's
it was like, well, I don't know why.
I wouldn't stay
yeah.
at that hotel again.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But it was the whole situation. It was like, what? You can't. I was like, I'm calling for the car. And they're like, you can't call ahead. I was like, what does that mean?
So you're happy at Flash. Mm-hmm. So back to women in parking. So if there's somebody listening, what would be your advice to a career path for a woman that's just
parking?
coming
Do
into
it.
parking?
Do it. I think that I always tell people that, parking is the most friendly environment that I've ever been a part of. Like, it is an industry that, you see a lot of legacy and you see a lot of like family, like longtime family.
Right.
And I don't think you see that as much nowadays in a lot of other industries. So I think that's really special. But as far as like women in the industry, please come. Like, you may not be super interested in parking, but I think there's a lot of cool things going on right now in the industry. And,
I think there's a lot of opportunity.
I think there's a
Yeah.
a boatload of opportunity.
Yeah, you can swear.
It's
All
fine.
right.
Okay.
I
If
do
you
enough
want
of it. There's some shows I don't swear, and there's others that I
You're
do.
really well put together for like every show, but there's some shows where I'm like, oh, John's nervous.
Oh my
'Cause-
God, really?
Yeah.
Me? Oh wow.
You even said, you're like, I'm nervous. I'm like, and then he's like, proper, and I'm like, it doesn't cuss, doesn't say anything. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, me not cussing. That's a weird
Yeah,
thing.
it is very strange.
There must be something wrong with me.
No, I do love that, Nicole, though. I agree. I want more women to come into the industry, and it's,
I
love it.
I may not be mentioning, I'm sure there's a lot of women that have made an impact, but I've seen in my career some women that really come on and like really get themselves out there. You were one. I mean,
I think getting involved is really important.
right.
I think that, like putting yourself out there, meeting new people. And that's why I was starting to say that the industry is so warm and welcoming. So like if you go to a conference and you're the only person there, walk up and introduce yourself to anyone because it's amazing how everybody will say, oh, and what do you do? And where are you from? And there will be some sort of connection because our industry is, so knit together.
And so after this, we're going to a happy hour, Nicole and I, but it's like a Denver, like women in parking happy hour.
Oh,
Not
cool.
women, like it's,
Yeah.
Not associated with women in parking, but it's
Women who work in parking
in Denver.
Oh, great.
So, but I love these things. Like we need to do more of them.
To be after this show. So there's you that I feel like really paved a way and got
you.
yourself out there. Another person that I saw was Kathleen Laney, who started that business and seemed to get to know a lot of people very quickly. There's somebody new, Brooke with Park Mobile, who just didn't she just write a book?
She did.
Yeah.
I haven't met her. I need to meet her.
I haven't met Brooke in
I haven't
person
met
either.
her in person either.
But she did write it. She wrote a book.
Not on parking.
Yeah.
On parking?
Yes,
Yeah.
on parking.
Oh my God.
She's with Park Mobile, and I see her on social media. Like, she's really putting herself out there.
Cool.
Yeah. So shout out to her. We don't,
Yeah.
I think she's reached out. Well, I mean, we don't, I've never met her personally, but
Come to Denver.
yeah, come to Denver.
We
Let's talk
absolutely.
about your
we've
book.
been trying to connect for a really long time, her and I, and it's just, I mean, we just haven't had the, I guess, moment to connect. But we'll get her
and
to
she
Denver.
and I are now, Park Mobile and Flash. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Easy Park, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the
Correct? Yeah. That's the parent company.
So, so as we wrap up this episode, first, thank you.
Thank you guys.
It's
Appreciate
great to
the
have you
invite.
on.
Thank you for being in Denver. I'm so excited to see you. But we also have to.
Oh my gosh, that's right. I almost forgot.
Thank
What?
you. Because in other exciting
We have another
news,
exclusive announcement here on the All Things Parking with Dani and John. It's parking.
big congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
So Nicole's got a rock that is the size of Mount Evans. So shout out to your fiance. He did a good job on
You
that.
did a good job.
Congratulations.
You'll
That's
be,
really
Thank
exciting.
you'll be
you.
like 20 years down the road. You know you did a good job when your wife is going like this, like 20 years later, looking at her ring. That'll be you.
For sure.
That
Well,
ring
she
will
said that,
never
and
get
I was
old.
like, I always compliment Nicole on her jewelry because she's got like, I love this ring.
thank you.
And I always compliment her on her jewelry, and I was like, this one's new. I was like, this is new, right? And she's like, yes. And I was like, oh my god.
So if you see Nicole coming up anytime soon, you won't miss that ring. So that ring is the gift that will never get old for sure.
Congratulations. Are you gonna get married in Paso?
I mean, that would be the dream.
Yeah.
Where's
Got-
Paso?
Paso Robles. So Paso Robles is halfway between LA and San Francisco.
Oh.
It's my favorite wine country.
It's like
Are you gonna include your parking family in?
I would love to. I think we'll do a very small wedding, but
Okay.
I'd love to, include as
I
many
mean,
as
we're
possible.
happy to broadcast
Well,
live
you
from
know,
our episode.
I just basically invited myself. So
You
We'll
just show up and
yeah,
bring
just
all
don't
the
forget about me.
equipment.
Poor me. So
yeah. No,
all right.
Paso would be the dream. I think we'll do it in California because that's, where we reside and but where is still, and when is still TBD. But yeah.
I mean, very new. So
Very new, yeah.
enjoy the moment of being engaged, and congratulations to you and
Thank you.
and to your fiance.
Thank you. I know
very
it's weird to
exciting.
say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because you guys have been. How long have you guys been together?
6 years.
Yeah. So now you're going
Wow.
from boyfriend to fiance.
Yeah.
after
I still
6
call him
years,
my
so-
boyfriend.
Yeah, he's my boyfriend.
He'll always be my boyfriend, even when we get married.
And you guys still live on the
Still live in the marina.
marina.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And you still got the pup.
Oh yeah.
He's still racing down the hallway.
Yes. She's getting a little bit slower, but yes, she's still
Danny,
so funny.
how do I know that? Are you friends with Nicole on Snapchat?
Well,
they
Instagram.
race.
Instagram,
Do you
yeah.
have Do you
Instagram?
have Snapchat, John?
I do. So I
John.
only have all that stuff because my daughter, when she was growing, it was
Yeah.
like I had to spy, right?
You had to
see
you
what
had
was
to watch
going
her,
on.
yeah.
They all got off Facebook pretty quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Although recently, I have to say, I got disabled on my way to. I was in Germany,
On
and my
Facebook?
Facebook says my. So I got this weird message through Instant Messenger from Meta, and it said your account is being disabled, and
Whoa.
you can appeal with this link. And I was like, it's a scam.
Yeah, that
because
for
we
sure.
get so many
Feels so
scams.
scammy.
Yeah. And so I deleted it. And then I'm in Germany and all of a sudden my password's being changed. So I'm freaking out because I'm in
Yeah.
Europe. And I'm like, and the next thing you know, I'm disabled. And so if you follow the Facebook appeal process, you have to log on to appeal. Well, I can't log on.
Oh, geez.
So it's all I do is post my grandchildren pictures, and
I know.
I mean, back in the day, and like when it first came out, my family is
Yeah.
a big Irish family, and we're split down the middle politics. So we all used to argue with each other. But then and so those days I probably deserved
They
to
went.
be suspended.
They went back and looked at your feed, and they were like, "This guy, we got to excommunicate this guy from this platform."
But as I started becoming friends with work and professionals, like
Yeah.
I don't do anything that's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just flabbergasted. And so
That's bizarre.
I've sent emails, and then I started Googling it. It's happening to a lot of people. For nobody knows.
If they
don't
kicked
know
me off the
why.
Facebook platform, they would be doing me a favor.
Yeah, so
I'm
I'm not
I'm
like-
bummed. I
No.
want my pictures back. And
That's the part.
Yes.
Yes.
I used to be able
Yes.
to just show my grandchildren right
Yeah.
off the bat, and it's just it's like I'm violated. So I got onto Google, and so it's happening to
We're
a
gonna
lot
send
of
this
people.
episode
They have
to
an
them.
F on the Better Business Bureau.
That doesn't
They have
surprise me.
8,000 unanswered complaints. Like if that was our business, we'd be
Out of
they'd have an
business.
alert.
Yeah.
They'd have. We have to respond to those, and then there's AG complaints. So I filed an AG complaint because I've been
What is
I've been
AG?
Attorney General.
Oh,
and they
got
have
it.
thousands of those. So
Yeah.
I have no idea. So if anybody's listening, I know Mark Zuckerberg is a listener of this show. So
Oh,
if you
definitely.
can, and
Yeah.
Elon, if you can help me, get me reinstated, I'd appreciate it. Although they're
I
probably
love
doing me
that
a
you're up
favor.
in arms about Facebook right now. This is.
I
But
know.
I do understand the pictures.
Yeah,
part,
I agree
because
with that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Back
with
in
that.
the day, you'd basically just like upload everything from your.
Yeah.
From your actual
your
camera, you have to like.
I mean, I
connect your camera to
I
your
can honestly
computer.
say I didn't do anything. It's very bizarre.
That is.
The only thing I can attribute it to, I recently started a all things parking Facebook page.
I
as
had
you
no
know.
idea. No, I actually had no idea we were on
Yeah.
Facebook.
And so I connected it to Instagram, and because
Mm-hmm.
my personal is connected, maybe you can't have two connect. I mean, I have no idea. I've been thinking this way too
I think
long.
it sounds like
a
you've been
little too much.
overthinking.
I think I'm starting to get over it, but
It
it's
sounds
know.
like
I feel
you're
like,
not.
I feel like you're still
I'm
working
Yeah.
on it.
violated.
It sounds like
I
you
want my
were
Facebook
very much
back,
not getting
but it's
over
all
it.
right. I'm,
Well,
it's
we'll help
weird.
you.
I'm still on Instagram, and that's a meta.
Yeah, that
It's-
is bizarre.
It's very bizarre. So
I'm very sorry for
who
your
knows?
loss.
Maybe somebody got a ticket and looked me up and then complained about me.
They
and
hacked into your Facebook. They
I'm
were
telling
like,
you, we get the most bizarre things happen around
I can
here.
only-
I'm sure
Okay.
you've got stories for
We
days.
do. We have a lot of stories. We have a person that called. They'll get
Yeah.
my cell phone number. Called for like 3 days straight, threatening all this stuff, and then on the fourth day, there was no coincidence. We got white powder delivered here. They shut this whole building down. There was rubber suits. The FBI responds to those because it's a federal offense. And this guy was he left voicemails and all this shit, like threatening us.
What did it end
I
up
later
being?
heard he wound up getting arrested. by
Good,
the
as he
FBI.
should.
Do
So
they know what it was? Like,
It turned out it was laundry detergent.
Oh,
But
God.
I mean,
But
you
like,
don't.
why are you that crazy?
I know that's whether
That's
it's laundry
scary.
detergent or not, it's a federal offense.
Right.
and
Well,
they take it
because
seriously.
the intention.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Because he
word
got a
to the-
ticket.
Yeah, word to the wise, man. I'm telling you,
$92.
this
I'm sure
side
he
of the
spent
bu-
more
this side
on
of
that
the business,
package than he could have
it's
just
like
paid his
road
ticket.
rage. I mean, it's people when it comes to their cars, they lose their mind.
Yeah. When I was at SpotHero, we would have people say, well, I got this ticket, and then I'd reach out to the operator, and they'd send a picture, and the person's literally parked in 2 spaces, and you send the customer that picture, and they just stop emailing.
Oh, yeah.
Some do. Yeah.
So before we go, I do want to know, like, just off the top of your head, what is one of your most memorable, good or bad, memorable parking stories?
Oh, that's a good question.
Ooh.
Ooh,
wish-
Just like what, like whether it's crazy, like good, bad, just
good,
like
bad, and the ugly.
Anything.
We want it all on this show.
like what is a story where you're just like, I can't believe that happened.
I feel like it's like the stories like I just told about the ticket, like customers reaching out being like, well, I didn't do this. And you're like, well, here's the evidence. And
Yeah.
then
Here you
I
go.
don't know. I know that's not super. I wish I had time to prepare because
I know, sorry,
No.
I love to ask
It's a
people,
Oh,
great-
we don't
it's
want
like-
you to prepare on this show. Just ask Charlie DeBow.
she asked me, she goes, what do I need to prepare? Anything? I'm like, no.
The most organized we were was for the Al and the Mark
Ramen, yeah.
episode.
so you're saying I'm not at that.
No, not at all. It's just, yeah.
So yeah, just a like memorable story, customer
honestly, like-
or even a personal like parking story, or I don't just. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I mean, there's been so many great memories from the different conferences. From Miami, the Fountain Blue, we were like swimming very late at night every night,
Oh my
which I
gosh.
think back and I'm like, who goes in the ocean after drinking for so many?
Yeah,
you know,
you said
night.
you said you're
Irresponsible
scared of
guys.
sharks.
Yes.
and you're in Miami.
Yes, in
Swimming in
the
the
ocean. In the ocean.
No, thank you.
At night. Wow.
Dumb. Yeah, just, I mean, I think this is more of like a generalized statement, but like all the friends I've made in this
Right.
industry is like pretty incredible. Cause you
Yeah.
know, I was at Groupon for 4 years before and I have friends from Groupon, but not from like, cause there was no industry. It was just all,
Yeah.
a bunch of different businesses.
And then second on your list is being on this show.
Being on this show,
Yeah,
yes,
of course.
obviously. Well, I don't know. I think I think
Whoa.
I will say. I mean, being on the billboard was pretty darn cool.
That is pretty
That is
cool.
really cool. So you need to send me a picture of that. I need to see that.
Oh, you
It
should
was,
see it.
it was large
right?
and in charge.
I
It was
wanna
like
see
40
it.
feet tall.
Yeah, it was huge.
Actually, that's what when we release
But
this
that's just because we
episode, we're
couldn't
going to
afford
release that. We're going to release that
picture.
photo.
Yeah, let's, can you send us the photo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to see that.
Yeah, it's because we couldn't afford models. So they were
Well,
like,
I mean,
I'm sorry.
employee.
Like the,
I think you were a perfect model.
yeah,
It
I was going to say
it was
the people,
great.
the real people in the industry are the perfect like models for the industry.
That
So-
was really cool.
it was
I
like
gotta
30
say.
degrees that day we did the photo shoot too. I've never been colder.
Where
And
did you do the?
it was in Chicago,
Okay.
and we were on the top of a garage. And I was just supposed to be just like some, Joe Schmo with my car keys walking to my car because I was so happy because I had such a great experience.
Yeah,
Sounds like the Skinner video.
a little more
thank
high
God-
tech.
thank
No,
God.
But
no
yours was just
printer.
a still. Our video was
thank
terrible.
God. Yeah,
No.
thank God ours was just a still.
No printer involved.
No printer involved.
Oh my god, it should have been part of. It should have been part of the video though, where you like run over a printer or something, right? No printer needed. Got it on my phone.
Wow, you're creative.
Look at you. You should be in marketing.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you.
All right.
Pat on my own back here.
Well, Nicole, thank you.
Thank you
and
guys
we
for
hope
having
you
me.
enjoy the Denver. We have nice
Always.
weather.
I know. Thanks
Beautiful.
for not having too.
It's not LA weather, but
It isn't.
Right.
thank you for making the trip. Thank you for coming. Thank you for visiting us in the studio. We appreciate you more than anything. And thanks for being an amazing leader in the industry. And most of all, for setting an example for all the women in parking.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.